Hey everyone, Austin here again with another Let's Play video. As you can see, it's going to be Gradius for the Nintendo Entertainment System by Konami. This is a classic shooter that also happens to be extremely difficult for the NES. Maybe not extremely difficult when you know exactly what you're doing, but that's the thing. It's difficult to learn the game and actually figure out what you're supposed to be doing. So Gradius is one of those games where if you're not fully powered up and if you don't know the boss patterns and the stage layouts exactly to a T, you're probably gonna die, you're probably gonna get a game over, and you're gonna get really frustrated. It's that kind of game. Doesn't look like it at first, but there are a couple sections in this game that I'll point out once we get to them that are extremely difficult without being fully powered up and without being in the right position with the right weapon at the right time. It's that kind of game. But yeah, this is actually sort of a big accomplishment for me. I've been trying to finish Gradius on the NES for a very long time, and with dedicated practice on Twitch, my other live streaming channel, I did it. And I did it multiple times in a row right after that, and I even did some of the subsequent loops where the game gets harder and harder. And had some interesting runs there as well. So what we're going to do is we're going to try to play through this game. We're going to cross our fingers and hope for the best. It's not a terribly long game, so even if I do get a game over, it's possible we can start from scratch again, give it another shot. Let's hope we don't have to do that. So yeah, before I jump into it, guys, though, as usual, I want to thank my current Patreon backers that are supporting this channel through Patreon. Thank you all for your continued support. And also, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys some of the super chatters that have recently donated on my Thursday live stream, so thanks to you guys as well for your support, and thanks to everyone else that's just watching and enjoying these videos. So let's go ahead and just jump right into it, and I'm gonna have to just sort of focus here in the beginning, because I need to make sure I get powered up. These guys that come by, they come by really fast, and what I like to do is grab the power-ups, use a bunch of speed-up abilities, so I'm fast and I can get in front of the enemies that I need to. I can get basically positioned well to where I need to be. And it's really crucial in this first level to get as many power-ups as you possibly can. And what I like to do is get sped up. I like to get my missiles, which travel along the ground. And then I like to go for my option power-ups. So basically Gradius has this power-up bar on the bottom of the screen. And picking up these little orange icons will extend, or they'll highlight boxes on that bar. And then when you press B, you'll activate whatever is currently highlighted on that bar. So I'm going to try to get that option power up, and that's actually not good. Okay, that's a terrible start, actually. And apparently I got some bonus points for going through there, which is kind of cool. So Gradius on the NES can be a little wonky. It's got some hit detection issues and things like that. I kind of let it slide because it's such an early NES game, and it is what it is. But that's something you got to deal with when you're playing this game, and you can just kind of get screwed sometimes. Like when I died, I definitely hit that enemy that was in front of me. Hit him multiple times actually, and all these enemies at this point, except for these turret things, generally take one hit to kill, and that guy pretty much just spawned out of nowhere. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kill myself, or I'm going to start over, because there's no point in me trying to continue on the first stage. And that's okay. There is actually a continue code in this game. I'm not going to be using that at all. So let's go ahead and give that another shot. I was actually a really cheap death in the beginning. I wanted to get that power up, and then got cornered, and then I got screwed by crappy hit detection, basically. But that's okay. Still early in the game, we'll just do it again. Now, the thing about Gradius on NES, it's also a game that is really tough to talk and play at the same time. You notice a lot of these enemies are just coming in really quickly. You have very little time to react in this game. And as such, you might actually hear me not talking for extended periods of time in this playthrough, which is a lot of times unlike me. I usually like to just try to keep talking as much as I can as I'm doing these Let's Plays, but this is definitely the kind of game where you really need to focus, and you can die almost instantly if you're not paying attention. Alright, so let's not get killed here again. Although I'm a little curious. Yeah, so there's a 5,000 point bonus there. I didn't know that. That's actually interesting. I love it when I discover little things like that on these Let's Plays. We sort of discover these things together, unless, you know, you're a pro and you already know all this stuff, which... Alright, so I've got two options. I've got, my next, I'm gonna go for the shield next, because that'll lower my chances of dying again. There we go. And I'm not gonna get that power up, so I don't die there again like I did the first time. And so right here, this is really tricky. What I'm gonna do is just sort of sit my ship up like this, and just keep mashing on the fire button. Now in other versions of this game, like I believe the PC Engine version, maybe even the arcade version, there's actually a safe spot where you can just sit in like the top right hand portion of the screen, and the rocks from the volcanoes there won't actually be able to hit you. But on the NES version, I'm not aware of there being any sort of safe spot, which makes it much more difficult. And that's one of the roadblocks for a lot of people that play this game, is they get to that volcano part in the very beginning and they just get annihilated, and then they never go back and try to play the game again. And I was like that for a very long time. Then I finally figured out how to get past it consistently. That's why being fully powered up in that first level is extremely important, so you can get through that volcano section and then continue on with the rest of the game. However, on stage 4, there's another volcano section, except it's reversed. The volcanoes are on the top of the screen, they're shooting downward, and so the strategy changes. I have to use the double power-up, which is right here. I'll demonstrate the double power-up. Now, double is not amazing in this game, unfortunately. It's rather slow in terms of its fire rate, and it's always been a little bit slower in other Gradius games, but other Gradius games have also let you shoot, I think, at least 2 shots at once, whereas it's only letting me shoot 1 at a time right now, which makes it slow. So what I'm going to do is switch back over to the laser once I get another power-up. Now you'll notice that there's a lot of enemy projectiles now, and that's because when you get powered up in the Gradius games, the so-called rank increases in the game. So basically the difficulty rises based on how powered up you are. And so that's something to keep in mind when you do get powered up in this game. The game does scale its difficulty, and it does get more difficult as a result. Gradius on the NES also loops, so every time you finish the game gets harder and harder. I don't know how many loops there are specifically, but I do know there's a third loop, which is more difficult than the second loop, and the second loop's obviously more difficult than the first loop. So if anyone out there is an expert at the, you know, the original Gradius, let me know if how many loops there are in the game, if you're aware of that, or if I decide to research it after the fact, I'll try to post a comment down below to let you guys know. I know that Contra on the NES actually loops many times. The difficulty just constantly rises in that game, so I wouldn't be surprised if the difficulty rose further than the third loop in Gradius here. So these bosses, you pretty much have to fight them on just about every level in the game. And all you have to do is just shoot the front. In later Gradius games, you actually have to shoot the little pellet areas in the center, which is their weak spot. But in this one, I've noticed that you don't really have to do that. And so I just constantly dodge those bullets and just keep shooting, and then the boss will eventually die. It's pretty basic stuff. All right, so this is going to actually be the Moai stage. So one thing Konami always liked in its early days was Moai heads. And these guys are a major pain. And what I'm going to do is try to keep the laser here, because right before the boss fight, more of those, like, circular guys are gonna come out, and they take a ton of hits. And I need to make sure that, I'm really focusing on just pummeling them with my firepower. So what I normally do here is actually switch over to the double power-up, and, you know, you'll notice that there's some Moai heads on the ceilings, and that allows you to, with the double power-up, to actually hit them while they're on the ceiling. But having the double power-up is not good for the section that comes after this. Really, what I should have done is I should have activated the double power-up, got power-ups, and then just sat it on the laser power-up, and then just switched over to the laser when I need it. So you can kind of see where like some of the strategy comes from in this game. You can think ahead, be like, okay, I need to plan this out. I need to have the power-up bar sitting on the laser power-up so I can switch back to the laser when I need it. Yeah, that part is really awful. You can get cornered by those guys and just get smashed, and then you're pretty much done. Good luck getting past that part without having, you know, your speed and your options and things like that. One thing this game will also do is just wreck your hands. You have to mash the button. You can hold down the fire button, but this is as fast as your fire rate goes, which isn't fast enough for a lot of parts in the game. So like the part I was just dealing with, you need to be shooting much faster. And it looks like we lost our shield in that process too, so I went ahead and just switched back to that. What I'm going to do here is actually, I'm going to switch over to the double power-up. Because we're going to need it for the boss of this stage anyway. This is the level where you fight, well, not really fight, I guess you don't really fight them, but you have to avoid the volcano projectiles, but on the ceiling. We're spewing from the ceiling. Man, I can't talk today. You know, so this is one of those days where I'm doing a Let's Play right after work, and doing that is just extremely hit or miss. Yesterday I recorded my Adventure Island 3 Let's Play, and I thought it went awesome. I was really alert, I was focused, I was playing the game well. But today, even though I didn't really do anything drastically different, I'm really tired, and I'm not alert, and I'm not focused, and I'm not talking as well, so... the woes of working overnight, unfortunately. Yeah, so I'm basically just trying to focus here. I'm trying to not die. Admittedly, life is a little bit easier when I've got the laser power up. Yeah, I can't shoot the ceiling very easily with the laser power up, but it shoots faster, and it shoots much, much faster. But the good thing about the double power up, and we're going to actually shoot this turret there, we're going to sit down here like this, and just hope for the best. I'm really curious if there's a safe zone of some kind. And I'm looking at it, and I'm wondering if I could just sit up in, like, the middle, where that canister turret was. Look at that, we were on the laser, so we can just switch right back to that. And we're gonna want the laser for this next stage as well, and we're gonna be doing a lot of mashing on this next level, and once again, hoping for the best. And what I'm going to do is actually probably highlight the question mark at the end. The question mark's not there because the question mark is the shield, and I already have the shield. There's also some of these blue power-up icons. They actually act as screen-clearing bombs. Interestingly, you don't get any points for clearing enemies with those, so if you're the kind of person that likes to play for score, you probably want to actually avoid those things. And the actual power-up icons you see there, those do give you points. So you want to try to pick up as many power-up icons as you can if you're playing for score. Not everybody plays for score, but for the people that do, you want to pick up as many of those as you can. So with these guys right here, what I like to do is just try to pummel the brain-looking things and just kill them outright like that. You can actually shoot the tentacle part, the part that looks like pink or red or beige. It's like a pastel-y kind of color, actually. And that'll actually destroy the arm, but I noticed that in this version of Gradius, just the hit detection is really wonky in certain cases, and this is one of those cases. And so what I prefer to do is just go for the core in the middle. Unfortunately, there's so much slowdown, it's very tricky to mash effectively. There we go. So this is pretty much the entire level. I'm going to keep firing just to sort of intentionally induce slowdown. Because the slowdown does make it a little bit easier to gauge, you know, bullet rates and distances and things like that. And, you know, a lot of NES shoot-em-ups, you don't have to weave in and out of bullets a lot. But this game, you absolutely do, if you want to survive. Alright, there we go. So now it's going to be the usual boss fight. And then we're pretty much 2 levels out from the end of the game. Alright, good deal. And I'm not going to worry about these power-ups, honestly. I just want to keep my power-up bar on the shield in case I lose the shield, and then I can just instantly reactivate the shield. I'm not going for points, although points do give you extra lives in this game. So if you wanted to play a little more risky and pick up all the power-ups, power-up icons you saw or see, that'll quickly boost your score, and you'll be on your way to earning more extra lives. That's another strategy. I like that there's a bunch of different strategies you can sort of go by in this game. Despite it being a really old shooter, it's got a nice amount of depth to it, which is pretty cool. The original Gradius was really pioneering, honestly. There wasn't really anything quite like it when it came out in arcades. Alright, I'm gonna have to pick these up, basically, because they were just in my way. Yeah, quite a pioneering game, and it's, you know, obviously a long-running series by this point. But it's really interesting going back and playing the earliest in the franchise and seeing that they still hold up extremely well. And they are very fun games, very challenging games, very mentally taxing games. Alright, so this is going to be the next part. The pre-boss, I should say. And what we're going to do is just sit right here, like so. Just like that. Oh, that is the boss. There's no other ship that we have to destroy. Okay, awesome. Alright, so this pretty much puts us at the final stage, guys. And what we're going to do is we're going to switch over to the double power-up. At least after this section's over, because I want the laser for the swarms of enemies. Okay, that was actually a really short section. And what I want to do is try to get my power-ups back on the shield, because there's a really good chance I'm going to lose my shield here. And you want to stay back a little bit, like maybe about, you know, a third of the way back from the back edge of the screen. And the main reason for that is because some of the enemies spawn right in this front half, like those guys. So you gotta watch out for that. But you never want to stay right on the back, especially by the floor or the ceiling. Because you'll notice there's a lot of those guys that just pop right out. Oh no! That's okay. I think we still got this. This is a really bad time to die, but I think we still got this. And that was my fault. I just wasn't paying attention. I just smacked right into a wall. And so that's one of the many dangers about Gradius. And we're actually almost right at the end too. This is actually the last checkpoint in the level. The level's not all that long, believe it or not. But there is a gimmick here, and you have to move forward before a door shuts. Otherwise you die. Kind of like in Life Force. At the very end of Life Force, there's the speeder section, or the speed up section. And if you don't position yourself right, you'll guarantee death if you're not all the way up in the front of the screen in the last part of the rush. So this is the final boss, but not really the final boss. It's more like a cutscene. You can just sit here and ending, just like that. You don't actually have to shoot or anything. And so there you go. We actually just beat Gradius for the NES. I probably should just end the Let's Play here, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and, since we're here, just attempt the second loop, and we'll kind of see what happens. That was a really awful death, but it doesn't really matter because you lose all your power-ups anyway when you restart the game. So now we're on loop number 2, and things are going to be much more difficult. So, and I'm going to do pretty much the same strategy I did the first time around. Although once I get to the Moai stage, I kind of want to see if I can do a trick there that might allow us to skip the 4th stage. So what's really fun about Gradius is there's a couple of ways to skip levels in this game by completing certain objectives on the stages. Either, you know, I'll post a comment down below explaining how that stuff works, but one of them is on the Moai head stage. If you destroy 10 Moai heads after you get through the level, you'll go through like a little bonus round and you'll skip the next stage. It's kind of cool, actually. Let's see if we can... Yep, 5,000 points right there. That's interesting. I'm surprised I never noticed that before. That little 5,000 point bonus, which is really, really neat. Can we get one more power up? I think we can. There we go, shield. Awesome, we're fully powered up. And I'm going to do the exact same thing I did before, basically. Just come on up here. There's other ways you can do it. I've seen people do more like diagonal patterns on their options, and I've seen them get a little bit closer to the volcano down below. But for me, I feel a little more safe up here. Because you'll notice how fast these things are flying up the screen. And this is, I don't know why they move so fast in this version. I don't know if they didn't want people to complete this game in, you know, one weekend or something like that. But in the arcade game, the volcanoes don't spew out that fast. Same with the PC Engine version of this game. Yeah, so you might have noticed if you're looking at the boss that he actually shoots out an extra projectile now. So not only does he just shoot out his lasers, but he also shoots out a standard bullet as well. And so you'll notice little things like that on the second loop. And then once you get to the third loop, you'll notice even more that's different. And that's what's interesting about looping this game. Got another extra life. One of the other really cool things about the Gradius series in general is you can sort of like try to position your options in different ways. So there's, you know, thanks to the options, there's a lot of different strategies involved in how you take out certain types of enemies at certain positions. It's kind of hard to explain in this one, and hard to show it in action because of how fast like the screen scrolls and how fast enemies appear. Oh, wow! I thought I would try to go into that cubby and it worked. I got a 1-up for that. That's awesome. I'm discovering some cool stuff in this this Let's Play. Yeah, so it's interesting to see that those secrets were a thing in the very first Gradius. There's kind of secrets like that, in a way, in like Gradius 3. On Super Nintendo? Well, sort of, kind of. You can get to a bonus stage in Gradius 3 and Super Nintendo that looks like the level we just played through. And you can back into little cubbies like that for extra lives and things like that. But you see the icons there, so you know to do it. But in this, you don't know to do it. And that's really interesting, actually. Now I kind of just want to go through all the levels and just experiment. I mean, not on the second loop, but I feel like there's probably a lot of secrets out there in this game that I don't know about. And I think that's really awesome. I mean, especially for how old this game is. Alright, so yeah, this is going to be the Moai Head stage, so we'll go ahead and just switch over to our double shot. I probably should have waited until this section was over with. Yeah, and again what I want to do is switch actually over to my laser. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's 4, 5, 6. 7. Oh, we died. Alright, we're probably gonna actually game over here now. We're probably gonna have to game over, unfortunately. This is gonna be really, really, really tricky. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to demonstrate the skip, which is a shame. Oh, that was the result of bad hitboxing. Bad hitboxing. Bad hitboxes. If that was a modern shooter, I definitely would have gotten through those. So even if I get past this, I'm probably not going to get past this section after this with the pre-boss fight. The pre-boss section. Now I'm just too slow. Way too slow. And that was the end right there. Yeah, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about, where if you die, good luck recovering. Good luck recovering. especially on the second loop and up. And that actually really sucks because I was having a good run on the second loop. I was feeling pretty good about it actually, and I think I was just getting careless, and that's exactly what happened. That, I don't even think that touched me. Another example of poor hitboxes. So to some people out there, you might be like, no, that totally touched you. If you play a lot of more modern shmups, not even modern, you know, you can play shmups from the 16-bit generation. Usually the hitboxes are much more precise. So in this game, in some cases, you can die. Yeah, look at that. I can't even do it. And I'm stuck back here too. Yeah, so in earlier 8-bit shooters like this, a lot of times the hitboxes are larger than what you actually see as the sprite of the ship. And so even if it looks like a bullet doesn't touch you, or just barely grazes your ship, it'll still register as a hit in a lot of these old 8-bit shooters. Some games in particular have really atrocious hitboxes. This is passable. This is fine. If you play something like Sky Shark on the NES, the game's almost unplayable because of its poor hitboxes. But even in Gradius, it's still a little bit of an issue. It's you know, when you got as many projectiles as you have here, and you need to try to weave in and out of them, and that was my fault. I could have gotten past that. Well, that's a horrible way to end this Let's Play. I mean, I was actually feeling really good about that. I thought we'd be playing this game for like an hour. I mean, there is a continue code, but I'm not going to do it. And that's a shame. Like, I wanted to show you the Moai skip. But, and I wanted to actually, you know, when I played this on Twitch the other day, I actually managed to get to the third loop, and you know, kind of the same thing happened. I made a quick mistake, I died, and then I just couldn't recover. And, you know, I guess it just is what it is. But at least you guys saw the first loop of Gradius. I know not a lot of people are able to complete this game. You know, so I'm sure a lot of you guys out there watching haven't been able to finish this game before either. And so at least you got to see the end, and, you know, you got to see some strategies to maybe help you get to the end if you're having problems with this game. And you're a bit of a completionist, and you want to go back and try to finish this game. So, but yeah, I apologize for dying at the end. I wasn't expecting to die quite so soon after having a pretty solid first loop, and then having several, or I should say, a couple of really good levels on the second loop. You know, I was feeling pretty good about that, but oh well. Alright guys, well let me quit rambling. I don't really have much to say at this point, I guess. I mean, it's Gradius for the NES. Still a classic, very challenging. I do recommend giving it a shot if you're a bit of a masochist. And, yeah. I don't even know what else to say. Alright guys, I'm out. Thanks for watching. As usual, if you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. Got a lot of Let's Plays on the way, and many more in the back catalog as well to check out. For those of you already subbed, thanks for your usual support. Take care, and I guess I'll see you in the next video.